Hi, everybody. This is Silvio Canto in Dallas, Texas on Sunday, May the 31st. And welcome to our commentary. Welcome to our weekly chat here with our good friend, George Rodriguez. George, it's always great to have you. How are you?
Very good, thank you. It's a
You know,
beautiful day here in South Texas.
yeah, it's pretty nice up here, but it's starting to get hot.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know about you, but it's starting to get hot up here, and it's
yeah.
really starting to feel like we just passed Memorial Day.
Yeah.
That feeling of heat and summer when June rolls around, and that's what it feels like. It was like 95 in the afternoon today. It was really hot. It's the kind of day that if you go out, you want to make sure you can find the shade to park your car under a tree or something just to get the
Oh, yeah.
benefit of a little shade. But yes, I mean it's summer. It's summer, and let me ask you. I always ask myself this question, and maybe you've thought about this too. It's May 31st. Where did the year go?
I know. Amazing. It's been amazing. It really has.
I mean,
It just, it's just gone like crazy. I mean, it just seems like we were just moving into February, and now here we are, and moving into June for crying out loud.
it just seems like Trump was inaugurated, and that
Yep.
was a year and a half ago. So it's just remarkable how quickly the time flies, and especially in Trump's presidency, because there's never really a day of rest. I mean,
Every
I
day is an
mean,
excitement. Every day is an exciting one. That's for sure.
every day there's something going on. Well, May 31st, I want to wish, and maybe you'll join me in this, George, but I want to wish a happy number 83 to Joe Namath. And those of my generation remember him as the quarterback of the Jets, who won the first Super Bowl for the AFL. I remember watching that game with my brother and my father. And I remember all the pregame predictions that the Colts were going to kill the Jets, which made sense on paper. But no, it didn't turn out that way. Namath became the talk of the country, and I guess I was always envious of Joe Namath, George, because he had all the girls.
Yeah, I remember they called him Broadway Joe, and
Broadway Joe.
there was a lot of discussion as to his whether or not he was a good role model because he had all the girls and because he was always out and drinking. There was a lot of concern, I remember, and discussion about him being a proper role model for young men, for young athletes in particular.
Right. Well, he certainly had a good time with living in New York. I'll put it that way. When he, it may have been a different New York. I don't know. I don't know if I'm right about this, but I think New York is a little crazy right now. It's crazy. I mean, look at the mayor they have and some of the politics. But New York back then, I think Broadway probably was a bigger part of the. I don't know. Maybe Broadway and playing for a New York team was much bigger back then than it is now, because back then, if you were playing from New York, you were able to do all the ads and make all the extra money. Whereas, today, I mean, you could make $10 million and play for the Rangers, and you can live in a farm 30 minutes from the park.
Yeah.
So I mean, the economics of the sports, all the sports have changed to a point. But happy number 83 to Joe. I think they used to call him Joe Willie Namath, didn't they?
Yeah, Joe Willie Namath. That's his middle name.
Yeah, number 12 with the New York Jets. And there's also something else about his career, too. In fact, the same year they won the Super Bowl, or the same season, which was 68-69, they were also part of that Sunday night game. Remember, where back then the AFL, you had two different leagues. You had the AFL and the NFL. And they were completely separate leagues. Legally, they were completely separate. And the AFL was on NBC, and the NFL, the more traditional league, was on CBS. So come Sunday night, this is late in the season. Come Sunday night, the Jets and the Raiders have a huge game that they're playing out of the West Coast. Started at 3, And it's getting late into the evening now. And at 7 o'clock, Disney has this movie,
The Heidi movie.
the Heidi movie,
Yeah.
which was every girl in the crazy had every girl and every young girl in the country, like my sister at the time, were all basically planning to watch this movie at 7 p.m. when Disney came on. So the game is taking too much time, and they literally they go from the game to Heidi, and this happens with about 2 minutes left. And at the time, the Jets were leading by 2 touchdowns, and the Raiders came back to win the game in the last 2 minutes with some of the crazy wild plays. I may have that mistaken. Maybe the Jets. Somebody was down by 2 touchdowns and came back. The Jets won, and they came back to win.
Yeah,
and that came to be known as the Heidi game.
Yeah,
because the entire country was flooding the operator at NBC in New York, saying, "Why did you do that? Why'd you do that?" And of course, we didn't have internet back then, so there's only 2 cities that knew what was going on: the radio in New York City and the radio in Oakland. The entire country didn't know how that game ended. And I didn't find out about it until 10 o'clock when they did the sports news, the local sports. And so that became the Heidi game, and the Jets were in that game. And that is the reason why NFL games today, they cannot go to the next show, 60 Minutes usually on CBS. They cannot go to 60 Minutes or whatever NBC is showing or whatever, Fox, whatever. They cannot go to the next show until the game is officially over.
That's right.
And that is the so-called Heidi rule.
Yep.
That came anyway. That was Joe Namath. He was in the middle of that as well. So good Broadway Joe. Happy number 83. Great. Always liked him. Great character. Last I've seen of him, maybe you too, George. He's doing these Medicare commercials. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
Doing a lot of that.
Which he raised also the Medicare commercial. He was also famous for doing a pantyhose commercial. If you remember?
Yes, that.
He received a lot. He got a lot of flack for that one too.
Right, he did. He did
a pantyhose commercial.
Yeah, and it was actually a joke. He wasn't promoting pantyhose, but it was like he wanted to. The people were saying he had great legs.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why the whole thing was supposed to be a joke. And I laughed at it, but a lot of, I don't know, some people didn't think that it was.
They didn't think.
Yeah, they just didn't think
he ruined the idea of a sports figure.
Yeah, he was his own man, as they like to say. But that's, I think, still overall a pretty positive at least to the game. I mean, you're right about some of his personal behavior, but you know, the one thing about Namath, and I'll just say one more thing: when you compare him to some of the other athletes who have really been problems,
like murderers, you mean?
Yeah, I think that, you know, he had his fun while he was playing, but then after that, I think he kind of settled down, and I think he even made a movie or two, if I recall. But anyway, Joe Namath, happy number 83. Now, let me just, before we get to Texas, I want to just touch on what's happening in New Jersey. And there's a town in New Jersey where they have an ice facility, and a bunch of people show up. First of all, they're saying that the people inside are not getting good meals. And then we look at what they're being fed, and we say, wait a minute, what do you mean they're not getting good meals? They get 3 good meals every day, and they even have health care inside the facility. What's going on here? And then they start, you know, throwing stuff at the police. Look, any Democrat politician who doesn't stand up to this, I think they're misreading public opinion, George.
Yeah. It is not a demonstration when you start blocking traffic, when you start attacking police officers and ICE officials. It ceases to be a peaceful rally or a demonstration. They are not doing anything other than being confrontational and creating trouble. That's right. Unfortunately, the media and the local Democrat politicians, well, national politicians, Democrat politicians, are fanning the flames. There is no excuse for that kind of behavior. That is not the First Amendment. And that's as far as their behavior outside. The behavior inside, all of this started because of about a rumor that there was a hunger strike, and then it proved that it was not a hunger strike. That people were complaining about the food that were given. Well, I got news for you. Here in San Antonio, they were when the illegals were first arriving here at the migrant center in San Antonio. There were complaints about the food, that they didn't like the sandwiches that were being given. They didn't like the sodas that were being given. They did not like the tea. I mean, basic things that we are used to in a little lunch kit, they did not like. And there was within the migrant center, there were complaints about that. And then if you recall, when they started getting resettled in New York, there was also complaints about, again, the food that was being served at some of these hotels where these people were staying. My mother used to say, that beggars can't be choosers.
Right.
Llegan pidiendo y lo quieren mandar. I mean,
Right.
it is absolutely outrageous, this situation that we've got with these people. In my opinion, we should be deporting them faster. That way they aren't complaining, they aren't suffering. On the other hand, these people that are on the outside, they need to be arrested. They need to be prosecuted. There is no excuse, and we should not tolerate that kind of behavior that's going on.
You might want to translate for the audience your mother's wonderful expression, because I know exactly what she said, but there may be somebody in the audience who doesn't speak Spanish.
Yeah,
so why don't you?
They come begging, and then they want to be in charge.
Right. Okay.
I mean,
that's it.
It is really, really outrageous that we have this situation, and that the media and the Democrats don't point it out. On the contrary, the United States taxpayer is the one that's being viewed as the villain.
That's right. No, you're right. And the behavior of these people. I mean, look, if you want to have a nice protest and sit out there and Mara, that's right. If you want to say whatever you want to say, I guess you're entitled to that. But when you're throwing things at the police, and as you say, you're blocking traffic, then that ceases to be a protest and it becomes a riot.
It does.
And you have to be able to say enough is enough. So hopefully President Trump doesn't have to send in the National Guard, but I think they're starting to control it better now. And it's because the local Democrats look silly when they say that this is a peaceful protest, and then we find out that most of the people arrested and most of the people who are there came from other places.
Exactly.
From other states. So what do you mean a peaceful protest? Well, anyway, they need to. Any Democrat who thinks that this is a winning issue, they're in trouble.
Yeah.
I just don't know how else to say it. Well, let's go to Texas, because I have to confess, I was you and I spoke the day before the vote. I think I may recall saying that I thought it was going to be close. I thought Paxton was going to win, but I thought it would be, I don't know, 5 points or something. This thing was like 28 or something, 25. Yeah. And it's kind of embarrassing in a way for Cornyn to leave that way. I mean, I have to say that that's probably not the way he wanted to leave. But what does this tell you? I mean, that Paxton would win this way, George? I mean, what does that tell you about the party here in Texas? And just what was your reaction on election night?
Well, as you know, I was supporting him. The Attorney General is a personal friend. I was supporting him. From what I had heard and from I was seeing in talking to people all over the place, in my speaking and in my show, just getting a flavor of what was going on. It seemed like Paxton was, moving very, very quickly and very much ahead. However, again, you never know. You never know what people will do once they get inside the voting booth. But I was really not that surprised that he won. but I was surprised, like you, at the avalanche that came in.
Yeah.
I think what it does tell us, though, also, is that, and this was a discussion that was had on Fox News and on Newsmax this past week. I think what it does tell you is that there has been a tremendous changing of the guard in the Republican Party in Texas. Texas has gotten redder, but Texas has also become much more grassroots red. I think that the old idea of a country club Republican Party, I think it's gone. I think what you've got now are grassroots Republican organizations, evangelical Republican organizations. You've got very conservative grassroots organizations that are now, or people, voters that are now in charge of the party. And I think, it's just a complete changing. I mean, John Tower, the Republican Party of John Tower, the Republican Party of George W. Bush, or George H.R. Bush, the Republican Party of John Connally. This is not that party. The other thing that surprised me, and the media is being very quiet about this, is that there was a tremendous vote for Paxton coming from Hispanic men in South Texas, a tremendous number. And I think that I don't think that's going to go away. I think that's going to get worse when they start, learning more about the Democrat candidate, who, I hesitate to use the word, but he does come across like a wimp.
Right. Well, he's a bit of a freak, and we'll talk about him in a second. Yeah, I mean, he's
so that,
in fact, I sent you this article that I saw this afternoon. That was, if anybody has a chance in the audience, go to hotair.com. Hotair.com is a great website run by Ed Morrissey. It's a great website, and there's an article there by a lady who wrote an analysis of Talarico and giving Paxton some advice. And she basically went to his message and pointed out what a farce his understanding of Christianity is. I mean, like when he says abortion is not mentioned in the Bible. Well, no, a couple of times where when God says, "I knew you when you were in your
belly." Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
In Jeremiah.
And then the other one is, of course, "Thou shalt not kill." So, I mean, I guess the word abortion doesn't appear, but something pretty close. The message is certainly there,
Exactly.
And so I would recommend. I am myself not an expert on Bible quotes. Just not something that I'm. Obviously I believe in the Bible, but I'm just not one of those who can cite the Bible, easily. But this lady writes some great articles pointing out the fallacy of what Talarico is saying. But before we get to Talarico, though, let me ask you about some of the other races. I voted for Chip Roy.
Yeah.
And he went down.
He did.
And this fellow Middleton Hayes apparently ran a pretty good campaign, I guess. And yeah, he won big too. I was surprised.
He ran a very negative campaign.
Yeah.
I mean, he had lots of political ads where he was really, really talking about how Chip Roy had fought against Trump, how he had been supportive of amnesty. None of those things, I mean, are true. I mean, it astounded me.
Yeah.
The other thing that Middleton used was a ton of his family's money. He comes from a very wealthy family, oil money, in the Dallas area, or Lubbock area, I think. But I think he lives in Dallas now. But anyway, he poured in a ton of his money, and I mean, he really. I mean, I was shocked by the percentage that he won by. There at the end, Chip kind of knew that he was trailing and he was not going to be able to catch up, and he didn't he didn't push on the pedal anymore because there was no more money for him. But I was kind of shocked by that, and it'll be very, very interesting to see how he reaches out, because I never met him down here in South Texas. I believe he came to San Antonio a couple of times, but I don't know of any Hispanic grassroots leaders that he met with. So it'll be very interesting.
Yeah, I didn't know anything. I didn't know anything about him before the campaign. Of course, Chip
it'll
Roy
be very, very interesting how he does that, because I don't know if somebody's told him, but the Hispanics vote has become pretty big.
Right. Yeah. Well, the other thing too is that I was also surprised by some of the television ads against Chip Roy, saying that he voted to impeach Trump and all that. I never quite understood those kinds of attacks, but I guess they were effective. But now looking ahead, George, you've got the governor at the top of the ticket. You've got Paxton running for the Senate, Middleton Hayes running for Attorney General. I think the lieutenant governor is the same, right? So that he's running too, right? He's on the ballot also,
Correct.
right? So it seems to me that what could end up pushing Paxton over the line is Abbott and the lieutenant governor,
Correct.
who are very strong vote-getting machines.
Correct.
And I think they'll run as a ticket and saying, you vote for the four of us. So if anybody has concerns about Paxton, apparently some people do. I don't know how real that is, but some people are saying, "Oh, I'm never going to vote for Paxton."
Yeah.
But my problem is that, first of all, I voted for Cornyn, but had nothing to do with Paxton. I just thought Cornyn was a pretty good senator. But I never had anything against Paxton. I mean, I've always felt that Paxton, in my opinion, has done a fantastic job as Attorney General. And I was kind of hoping that he would run for governor, actually, the next time. That was kind of my hope. And stick to that and stay in Texas government. But Paxton has been accused of just about everything under the sun, but I haven't seen him be convicted of anything, George.
Yeah, I think it's another one of these situations like Trump. Paxton's character is one where he is like a bulldog when he comes after you. And that is the worst nightmare for Democrats.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he has fought Obama, he has fought Biden, and I believe he's won every single one of those lawsuits that he filed against.
A pretty good number. I mean, I'm not going to say he's perfect, but he's pretty close to 100%.
I'm not sure that it's 100%, but I know that he's won the majority of them.
I say 90% plus.
Yeah, and I think that it all comes back to the fact that he drew a line about state rights, about the Constitution. Well, he's very knowledgeable of the Constitution, both the Texas state Constitution as well as the national. And not enough. I don't think he gets enough credit for his intelligence. Extremely intelligent man. And based on that, the idea that he would win and become a senator now, I think that it just sends shivers up the spine of somebody like what's his name?
Talarico
from New York.
Schumer.
Yeah, Schumer. I think it sends chills up his spine in Schumer, and they're going to be dealing with somebody who is just as tenacious as Ted Cruz,
right? And
and every bit as savvy and knowledgeable, articulate as Senator Kennedy from Louisiana. I mean,
right.
He's going to be a handful for them, and I think that's the other thing is and I know we're going to be talking about Talarico in a few moments, but I think I know he's a great debater. I mean, he is just logical beyond belief, and it's going to be very, very interesting if the two of them get into a debate.
Well, they're going to have to, I guess, have a debate. I mean, I don't know how many, but I thought like when Ted Cruz debated, Beto O'Rourke back in 2018, I thought that was hands down Cruz. I mean, I mean, Cruz just was so much better, but
That's
something
why
happened there.
the only thing that I think they can throw at him is issues related to his personal life, and that's it. Because anything related to policy and politics,
Right.
I'm not sure what they're going to be able to do.
Well, and his personal and the stuff about personal life. Okay, so I guess he and his wife divorced. They're going to be going through a messy divorce, from what I understand. I remember the last time a Democrat had problems with a woman, we were told that stuff didn't matter, and that was
Yes,
Bill
I believe
Clinton.
that's
Remember
true.
that? Yeah, I mean, I remember being on TV here with Univision with some ladies who, during the days of the Clinton problems,
Correct.
and they were basically saying, well,
That's
that's his person. Yeah,
that's their marriage problem. That's not
exactly. It doesn't affect the stock market, or it doesn't affect the economy or whatever. I mean, that was kind of the argument.
yeah.
So, I mean, I'm not sure how many people in Texas are going to fall. Now, I don't know how bitter or how much bitterness there could be in this divorce. I mean, if the wife comes out, but I don't know. I really don't know anything about their divorce other than I guess they have filed for divorce. Other than that, but I think as far as politics, I think, in my opinion, I think we're beyond that, where divorces would be a disqualifier.
Correct.
I think we're
I think we're
beyond
way
that.
beyond that.
Yeah.
And I think that what I mean, I really do believe that their attempts to smear him in that aspect of it will probably backfire. Backfire.
Well, and today I think Talarico, speaking of Talarico, like we're going to, uh, Talarico today was making a statement saying that, he said something along the lines of Paxton doesn't have a legislative record, but he does have a criminal record. Well, that's a very dangerous thing to say because he's never been, I mean, he's never been convicted of anything.
Exactly. But see, that doesn't matter. I mean, look at how they talk about Trump.
Right.
It's the same argument, the same game plan with Trump. I mean, Trump has been indicted so many times. Okay, all right. He's been indicted, but has he been tried? Has he been convicted of anything?
Right. Well, it's like Bill Clinton. He was impeached, but he wasn't convicted. So you got to go with it. I mean, what matters is the conviction or the non-conviction, not the impeachment. So hopefully he can get around. I'm sure he's going to be well prepared for that. But this fellow Talarico is quite a story.
That's it. We're beginning to find out stuff, aren't we?
Yeah. And some of the things, I mean, I posted something at American Thinker today talking about, he has a neighbor who has a uterus. And I'm sitting there saying, I've never heard anybody talk like that.
When I heard it, this is the truth. When I heard that, and I had just heard the description as I was getting out of the shower, and I wasn't paying attention to the whole story, and I got out of there and I thought, what? Somebody has a uterus in a jar or something?
Right.
I mean, I thought, is it somebody like Jeffrey Dahmer? What is this?
Right, exactly. And my reaction, and this is what I wrote in my post today, I don't know of too many women who like to be referred to as the one with a uterus.
Person with a uterus.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's almost like, I don't know of any woman who wants to be spoken to like that or referred to like that.
Not very romantic, that's for sure.
Well, that's for sure, and not very nice either. And
try it on your wife at the next anniversary.
No, I think I'll pass on that.
Tell us how that turns out.
Yeah, I'll pass on that, George. But I know, I mean, so for him to come out and say these things, and he was saying these things in front of people.
Yeah.
And I guess when he spoke this, to put it in the right context, he was criticizing the Supreme Court opinion on abortion.
Correct.
And he was talking about all of the women in Texas who don't have rights anymore. And then he makes the reference to our neighbors with a uterus. Why didn't he just say Texas women?
Yeah. He's been skating along because nobody was focusing on him.
Sure.
But now that the election is over, now that he has an opponent. Now all of a sudden we're starting to focus on him, and I think at this point, I mean, there's so much that's coming up. There's so much that's coming up.
Yeah, I mean,
And
he's got a collection. My post today is called James Talarico's Greatest Hits, and because he's got a bunch of them coming up now. One of the many analysts was saying that Talarico is going to try to go to the Hispanic vote in South Texas and basically bring that back, if you will, from the success that Trump had. But based on what you told us before, Talarico did well with men.
Yeah.
And I don't know, George.
It's going to be very, to me, it's going to be very similar to when, what was her name? The woman that ran against the governor.
Back in 2014, the lady who wanted the abortion. Yeah.
Against
Davis was her name. Yeah. She was a state senator
against Abbott. And, she was this liberal white woman that just had a hard time connecting with blue collar Hispanics. I mean, she just couldn't connect with them and turned them off more than she attracted them. And I think this is what you're going to have with this guy.
Remember that down when they had the primary that year, that would have been 2014. When they had the primary, she actually lost counties.
Yes,
in South Texas.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
So she was, she had her problems, but I mean, I just cannot wait for him to go down and talk to the Hispanic women in the Valley, and
he's going to try, and I'm sure that he's going to try to carry that message of persons with uterus down there.
That's not going to fly well.
That'll be very interesting.
That and the conversation between the angel and the young Mary and the upcoming that is going to be a real problem for him, I think, with Catholic women. I can tell you that. But anyway, I think at the end of the day, though, he will win. Paxton will win. But he should send a Christmas card, I believe, to Governor Abbott, because I think Governor Abbott is really going to pull a lot of Republicans, and he has the machine. He knows how to get votes. The lieutenant governor also, and maybe Middleton Hayes may end up helping him as well. So now one more thing, George, we didn't have any runoff in the new districts down south. Those new districts that were created. How does it look as the campaign starts?
Well,
how do they look for the Republicans?
Here in San Antonio. We did have one. It was in District 35, which is one of that used to be the one that went from the middle of Austin all the way down to North San Antonio. That one was cut out, and it's now northeast San Antonio, northeast Bexar County, Wilson County, and Karnes County, and it's something like 45% Hispanic. The runoff there was between De La Cruz and John Lujan. John Lujan is a state rep currently, or was a state rep, and the victory went to De La Cruz. De La Cruz happens to be a brother of the congresswoman in South Texas.
Oh, okay. So it's not Monica De La Cruz; it's her brother.
It's her brother
who won the primary. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Very good.
And he won it quite convincingly. So in that aspect of it, people were talking about, again, that this was more a grassroots revolt, because Lujan had been supported by Abbott, but De La Cruz was supported by Trump. Okay. So, everyone that Trump endorsed, literally, won.
Yeah, that's the amazing thing. But here's one last thing that I'll leave you with, George. And I found this fascinating. In fact, I have a post about this tomorrow because I read this. There's a great lady, maybe you know who she is, Selena Zito. She's a great writer up in Pennsylvania. She writes some great columns up there. And she wrote an article about the Pennsylvania primary. We talk about Texas moving more in the direction of MAGA, okay? But she wrote a post about how Pennsylvania, in their primary, the Republicans pretty much stayed in the middle. They didn't go too much to extremes, but the Democrats did. And there's a lot of, a lot of these people are winning primaries.
Yeah,
A
they
lot
did.
of these,
They really. You have a lot of folks who are, I mean, a lot of Democrats who are socialist Democrats,
yes,
and they are carrying the banner. However, whereas they might be winning in other states, I think it's very, very difficult for them to win here in Texas.
oh, I agree. But they're going to make Governor Shapiro's life very difficult.
Oh yeah,
because he wants.
And you've got, I mean, the L.A. mayoral race right now.
Oh God, that's
You've
Tuesday
got
night,
Pratt,
right?
who is the only logical person, versus Bass, who is a flaming liberal and lies, and then they've got somebody even further to the left,
right?
Some woman that's also running that's further to the left than Bass.
Yeah, that's coming up Tuesday night.
Incredible. That is incredible.
Well,
they're
it's
both
Tuesday.
are winning.
Yeah, it's Tuesday, but we probably won't get results until later that night because of the time difference. But yes, I mean that could be very important. They also have a governor's primary, I think, that day too. And because of the way they do it, they put everybody in the same ballot. So in the top two go on. And I don't know whether there's going to be a Republican in the final two for governor, but I do think this fellow Pratt will make it to the second round. And man, his ads are unbelievably good. I don't know, whoever's doing those ads for him, I hope he gets a lot of work, a lot of opportunity to run ads like that across the country because their ads are very effective. Well, George, thank you so much as always for joining us, and it's always a great pleasure to have you. And I guess we'll be talking a lot about this campaign here.
Yeah,
but I did want to say one quick thing. I'm sorry to bring you back to this, but if you remember the Beto O'Rourke campaign, there's a couple of interesting things about Beto O'Rourke. In 2018, he was able to persuade a lot of liberals to write some big checks, and they did.
Yeah.
If you remember, his campaign was very well funded. I mean, I was getting a letter from him every day. I mean, they had a lot of money to spend because they really bet money on Beto upsetting Ted Cruz. In 2022, when he ran for governor, by September, the consensus among Democrats was, you're not going to win. Right. So we're not going to send you any money. So he didn't have money. And I think we got to keep an eye on that as we analyze this campaign, because if by September, a lot of Democrats are beginning to say, Talarico is not going to win, let's spend that money in Georgia or Michigan or somewhere else. I think that could be a key right there, that he's not going to have as much money as he may have right now, George.
You're right. I mean, I think or I hope the Democrats have learned their lesson, because again, the more money that they seem to pour into Texas, the redder it gets. And here you've got the early indication that this guy, this Democrat that's running for Senate, already has some big flaws, and that he's going to have a hard time. So to me, that is very, very, I mean, that would tell me that they will think twice.
Yeah. Well, and George, we haven't even gotten to the issues yet.
Exactly.
I mean, all we've done so far with Talarico is talk about some of these crazy things that he said.
Well, but I think that the crazy things that he's saying are about the issue.
Well, sure, of course, yeah.
This thing about a uterus, my goodness, that tells us exactly where he's coming from.
That's right, and the bit about immigration and where he stands on ICE, where he stands on voter ID. But I mean, as senator, they're going to be dealing with foreign policy issues, national security issues. And I don't think I've ever heard this guy give a speech on any of that. Now, to be fair, usually state reps don't do that. But still, you would think if you're going to run for the Senate, the U.S. Senate, that you have taken the time to think a little bit about some of this. Well, George, as always, thank you so much for your time. And I guess we'll see you next Sunday when we will be in the month of June.
Wow.
How is that for?
Yeah, and that's next month in June. The second week in June is when the Texas State Convention begins.
Oh, that's right. Where is it this year?
It's in Houston.
In Houston.
And so,
All right.
you know,
Well,
I anticipate there will be a lot of fireworks on the issue of what the state platform is going to look like.
well, I think you're right about that. But then the Democrats said there are fireworks too. So yeah, I mean, it's not like only one. It's not like the fireworks are only happening on one on our aisle. I mean, they're getting a lot of them on their side. Well, George, thank you as always. Thank you for your time, and have a great week. And I look forward to our next time.
You got it. Take care.
All right, our good friend George Rodriguez from South Texas, talking a little bit about this election last Tuesday. You know, I honestly didn't see it. Well, I thought Paxton would win, especially after the endorsement. I just didn't see the margin. I really didn't. And, you know, apparently down in South Texas, Paxton did well with Republican men or Hispanic men. And that's a good sign for the upcoming election. Well, thank you for listening. This is Silvio Canto in Dallas, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye, everybody.